Have you ever wondered why people with this color hair get called a redhead, even though it very clearly is not red? So in English, the word orange to describe the color wasn't invented until the 1500s. So you might be thinking like, Evan, how the heck would people be describing all these things that we see on a daily basis? Well, before orange was used as a color, it was used to refer to the fruit. But when people would describe things like the images above, they would say, oh, it was like a reddish yellow, or it was like a yellowish red. And in many languages, like Korean, Vietnamese, Tibetan, Yoruba, there might not necessarily be a word to differentiate between colors that are so similar, like blue and green, for example. Someone in a sentence or in conversation might just say, yeah, it was blue like the tree, or it was blue like the sky. So yeah, just thought I would share that with people. Thought it was a fun example of how language is always evolving. You know, one of my pet peeves is when people say, "Oh, that's not a word," for like maybe like new coming words or words like ain't. And this idea that there's a correct way to speak English or there's a correct way to speak French or Spanish or whatever is very elitist, right? It often excludes marginalized groups, marginalized people who will develop language differently, and this idea it's called like prescriptive language. But yeah, like I don't know, somewhere like Atlanta, Georgia, or like Toronto, Canada, is gonna have very different sounding English from someone in like Ireland or somewhere else in the UK. Obviously, their English is going to sound very different, but you can still understand each other. Just a reminder that this, alongside many other constructs, exists on a spectrum, right? We're making words to categorize or describe different wavelengths of light or frequencies of light that we get to perceive, right? And so oftentimes we'll first make a word to describe primary colors, and then secondary, and then tertiary, right? If you enjoyed, please follow. I'll post a lot more educational content, just stuff that I find interesting.